Okay, well, hello everyone. Welcome to When Women Believe. I am your host, Tanisha Lachey, and I am here with none other than one of my favorite guests that I will ever have on this platform. Today, we're talking about all things motherhood, and why would I bring anyone else but my own mom? If you haven't known she's my mom, you apparently do not have context or glasses on because clearly we share similar features, and I share her entire face. So I have my mom here today. And so I want to first just kind of check and make sure that we are live. So we do want to make sure that on my own screen we are live and that I can see everyone. And I do believe that we are here. I think I just might need to change it on my screen so everyone can see. But if you are here, feel free to let us know that you are in the building. Generally, that is my mom's role, is to tell me that she can see and hear me. But of course, she's on the platform today. So anyone else that can see or hear us, please let us know as you're dropping in. So I can say this is my mom. This is my mother. And I know a lot about my mom, but I'm sure I'm going to discover a lot more about her after we talk today. So, my mom has been in the Navy. My mom has been in church her entire life, just about her entire life. She is a singer, a songwriter. She makes up songs on the spot. You know, my mom always comes through with just a psalmist of her own. My mother is also a minister, as you can see, Evangelist Renee. I believe she's actually an elder, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so Evangelist. I got it. Okay. So my mother is also a minister. And so my mom is all things. She loves her sports. We have very similar views and things that we know and love. But of course, I can say on and on 1,000 things about my mom. Is also me. I am her eldest child. And then there's my brother, Mike. So hopefully Mike gets to tune in a little bit later. But all things motherhood that we're going to be talking about today. But I would have to let my mom describe herself. So just to talk about her background as a whole, I've given a lot. But mom, if someone had to ask you to describe yourself, how would you describe yourself?
Okay, first of all, thank you so much, Nisha, for even thinking about me. You know, I'm a nervous wreck already.
Yes.
And I thank God that I'm on your platform. I thank God for all the mothers and those that will join in. And if I had to describe myself, I would possibly say that truly I'm a mother, of course, of two, grandmother of six. I'm a survivor and I'm an overcomer. Okay,
That's
and the difference between the survivor and the survivor is really doing self-sufficient things, and the survivor is really trying to make sure that they pursue to the end and that they survive. Okay, but an overcomer also overcomes a thing and goes back and reach back to try to make sure that another person going through the same situation that they're going through, that they won't have to go through as much trauma. So that
absolutely. I love that. Thank you, mom. Okay, so somebody can hear us. There's your pastor. Hey, how
right.
you doing?
Hey,
So we can be
Apostle.
heard. Like we can be heard. So thank you for letting us know we can be heard.
Mhm.
And
Thank you.
so definitely when we talk about survival, I forgot to even mention that. Like we definitely had a huge scare in 2015.
Hmm.
To kind of just talk about it a little bit. Like I basically got the news about what happened to you at work. I believe it was my brother who
Hmm.
called and my aunt Kim that had called that had said that you had failed.
Hmm.
They said you had failed and they were trying to find what hospital you were going to be at because they were both living in Virginia at the time. My brother's still in Virginia. And
Hmm.
so I think I remember going the whole day at work waiting for a call that I never did receive. And so I think I got off of work scared forever and was trying to figure out, what was going on with you. And then I was just like, hang on, it's a lot going on my screen. It was just I think I called back at like maybe 8 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock your time, and they had expressed that you were not in one hospital, but a different hospital. But at
Hmm.
the time, they didn't know whether or not you were conscious. And
Correct.
so that was a whole ordeal of just trying to figure out what's going on with my mom. Because just for context, for those who may be watching that don't realize, my mother was in Virginia and I'm in Missouri. And so I'm just like, should I fly there? What is going on? So I'm trying to get bits and pieces from my brother and my aunt of what's going on with my mom. And so whole ordeal of being, do you remember a lot of that, mom? Because I remember
Yes, I do. Yes, I
the
do.
memory loss. So tell if you don't mind talking about it, because I remember it
Okay.
was just this shortness of memory. Like what was going on?
Right. In 2015, I had a massive stroke on my brain. Okay, I was told at that time that I would only have 30 days to live. I was also told that I would lose my long term memory and my short term memory, and eventually I would be in one of the electric chairs, one of the motorized chairs anyway, for a wheelchair in order to get around. Then the thing with the confusion was my son Michael and my sister Kim. They were getting secondhand information. They were told that I was at one hospital, and then they found out later on that I was at the military hospital. What had
Mhm.
happened is two women, myself and another lady, were in an ambulance at the same time in the same area. Okay, she was maybe 20 miles north of where I was. Well, that lady passed. So
Oh.
the information that they were trying to get straight is where is she, and is that lady that actually passed, is that Renee? What
Mhm.
happened is they went in, and it was also a friend named Tommy who went, and they said, "What's her name?" And he said, "My name Valeria." Okay.
Mhm.
And he said, "Well, sir, that lady that was named with started with a V. She did. She passed."
Mm.
Meanwhile, my son didn't know all of that. Tommy, my friend, was trying to get Kim home, which is my sister. Gets home, hey,
Hey, y'all.
gets home, and there I am sitting on the couch. Immediately, Kim lost it.
Mhm.
And then Tommy said, "No, they just told us you passed." I said, "I'm sitting right here."
Mhm.
So yeah, it was a lot in and out of the hospital, all kind of tests, spinal taps, all this, trying to figure out what happened to me, and they
Mhm.
had no clue what happened. They didn't know if it was my blood pressure. They didn't know it was something that like I had dehydrated and was actually having a heat stroke. It was so many things that they went through trying to figure out what was wrong with me. When I did wake up though, it was 8 different medications over my head. So yeah, yes.
Oh.
Yes. And
Mhm.
they were giving it to me intravenously. Then after I figured out, uh, I said, "What is all of that stuff?" And the
Mhm.
doctor told me, he said, "We're testing to see if you actually have spinal meningitis. The Renee that you know as your mom." I said, "I don't have no spinal meningitis." Didn't think about it. Kim was on the phone, study working in the corner, trying to call mom. Next
Mhm.
thing I know, we were going back home because they put me on hospice, and I was on hospice over 2 months. And
Yes.
the nurse kept saying, "I'm not exactly sure what's going on with her, but this lady doesn't look like she's dying." So
Mhm.
the military, because I retired from the military, they
Right.
sent people out and had me to sign the paperwork and everything that I was on the hospice, and did a whole death thing with me, and where I would be buried in Arlington, all of that. So I mean, none of it was fruitful for me,
Mhm.
but I let them go ahead, do your job. It's okay. You want me to sign that paper that y'all gonna bury me? Okay, then that'll take the responsibility off my son and my daughter. Okay.
Right.
So yeah, it was a trying time in 2015, but I was given 30 days to live, and as you all know, it's 2025. So
Come
bless,
on.
bless the Lord, hallelujah. That's all I can say.
Right, because it was a very scary time. It was a very
Hmm.
scary time because I remember, you were at home. I remember Granny went to go see you. I sent Granny to
Hmm.
go see you because I remember she was there for like 2 weeks. And I
Yes.
remember for those that were in Virginia, you remember I was showing my brother not too long ago about
Hmm.
the pictures. I don't know how we came up on talking about it. And I was like, Mom had lost so much weight because
I
of
was
it.
down to 76 pounds at one point,
Yeah, it was like you had
and
lost so much weight.
Mama was lifting me in and out the bathtub. So yeah. Hmm.
Right, and I remember that because I remember she had called because when I went picked up Granny back from the airport, because I think
Hmm.
yes, my son was like really small. My son was like 2, and
Two.
so he was 2, and so when I went to pick Granny up from the airport, I remember she like I said, "How was everything?" And I remember her just literally breaking down in the car. I remember her like literally breaking down in the car and being upset and different things of that nature. So yeah, I'm cracking up because you're people from Georgia, your passes like everything else. Like my mom was on the move. My mom's in swim class and everything else. So to hear,
Yes.
the testimony, because so many people may or may not know that
Mm-hmm.
was such a trying time 10 years ago of hearing, everything that was going on in your
Mm-hmm.
life, from being, like you said, under 100 pounds,
Yes.
being in a wheelchair on hospice, and just, I remember just Granny coming back because I was like, I can't go, I can't see her like that because I knew I was just going to be too upset, but I was hearing things from my brother and my aunt that was there, and Granny came back. But I remember Granny breaking down and talking about having, bathing you like a child almost. And she was
Yes.
just like,
She
it's a lot.
did.
But she was just talking about how even through all of that, I remember you still, this is one thing, my mother was still talking about the Lord. The lady was talking about her
Mm-hmm.
memory and everything else. And my mother
Mm-hmm.
was still quoting
Mm-hmm.
scriptures, still talking about the Lord. And I was like, I remember praying, and I was like, and I remember talking to Granny, I said, and I told you this story too. I was like, she's going to get better. And I said, watch, everything is going to change when she gets back. And we saw different things that happen. And I was just like, yep, she's back. She's back. And so, yeah, and people that was there in Virginia, they remember you from your church and how everything happened. So I'm really excited that they're here, that we're not telling any tales. This really happened and they were there. And, I do want to publicly thank, everybody else and your pastors as well, because they were in Virginia. I mean, you guys don't know how much of a blessing it was to know that there was people at the church that was okay to
Yes.
take care and help and be
Yes.
there for my mom, because I was in Missouri. I couldn't leave. I had a 2-year-old and it was just my grandmother. So it was so good. Hey, Kim, it was so good knowing that there were people at that church that she had called home and family that I could really, I really knew that, was taking care of her and she was all right. So publicly, thank you guys so much, because it did
Yes.
make it easier, because I knew she was okay, because she did have family, not blood family, but she had family, but except for my brother that was there, that
Exactly.
definitely were there for
Mm-hmm.
her. So yes, definitely. Hey, brother, I was just talking about you.
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely just talking about you, brother. I was talking about all the stuff we went through in 2015 with mom. So I know you definitely remember because you was there and you saw it.
Yes.
So definitely, faith and action at church. Thank you guys so much, because my mother had been there a whopping 20 years. And, it's one thing to be at a church for that long and serving, but when you need the church, you really start to see what happens. And it was
Mm-hmm.
so good to see so many
Mm-hmm.
people rally around my mom through all of it. She even went to a
Yes.
trip to
Yes.
Florida, and it was just like I
Mm-hmm.
could see how much the church still rallied. So
Mm-hmm.
from our family, thank you guys so much.
Yes.
Definitely. Okay, my brother heard. Love you, Mike. Oh, say so, mom, because we can start crying in a heartbeat. I know how we get. So
Right.
to get out of it, making ourselves loose.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it definitely was. My brother said it was a wild time. It definitely was.
Yes,
So
Lord.
So for most people, I would say for me and my brother, our mother was in the Navy the majority of our lives, or a good point of our lives, because it's been a while. You notice I can't say the majority of my life no more. But you were in the Navy. What made you choose to be in the Navy? Because there were other things you could have chose to do as a career. Because like I said, my mother was in the Navy for 20 years. What made you decide to have a career in the military or the Navy?
Actually, it was our uncles. They
Yeah.
had all been on both sides of the family in the military. But the
Mhm.
day that the recruiter came to Sumner High School, that's the high school that I went to, and to see how the women were treated, how they acted, how they dressed, and it was just an encouragement to me. Plus, I was trying to run away from
Mhm.
childhood trauma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I thought that by running somewhere else, doing something I've never done before, that it could block everything that I had went through. But what I forgot about is I took me.
Mm.
I took my heart, I took my mindset of it, and what I thought I could do with it. So yeah, but the 20 years that I was in, I wouldn't change anything of it other than I wasn't with my babies as much as I would like. That's you
Yeah.
and Michael.
Yeah. Um, this one's gonna be hard. I can feel it already. I'm like, this is gonna be
Love you,
hard.
Kim.
I'm like, we're gonna talk from our head and not our heart. We're gonna get through this, mama. um,
Okay.
okay, so this is something that we've kind of joked about, and this is still more about our background, so people can understand who you are, our relationship, and just the background of you before we get into motherhood. And
Okay.
this is something we have joked about before, so hopefully it brings back light to the story because I know the background to number two about the
Mm-hmm.
dog. What were your first thoughts when you were called into ministry?
God, you gotta be kidding. Okay. I kept saying it because I was the person, just like I said, I left home,
Yeah.
okay, thinking that I was going to be a whole different person. Did not
Mhm.
know that I was going to be a different person. I had went buck wow when I left my mom's house because, as you said, most of our life we was in and out of church, most
Mhm.
of it.
Mhm.
When you say wilding out, your mama was wilding out. It was times that I'm telling you, Monday through Sunday, I was at the club, and it wasn't to drink, it wasn't to smoke, it wasn't to meet a man, but that drop it like it's hot, doing the dog and all that. Boo! I mean, an expert, PhD.
Oh my
No, you
god.
crazy. You know
My
you.
brother, Michael, cover your ears, okay?
Please, cause he don't need to think of his mom walking the dog or nothing. He don't. He don't need. He don't need to know it.
The way the people are gonna be saying walking the dog, I already know. I see some of my friends at the time. Then the way I'm gonna hear this is going to be hilarious because I'm like, Google walking the dog dance, and that is all
Yes,
that
Lord.
said.
That's
Uh,
all you
but
need to know.
because it is one of those different things. I know we have talked about it before, just in past
Mhm.
time, we have always like cracked up.
Mhm.
Listen, come on, Kim, but you got somebody
Can't
that's been
mess.
through too. So it's like it's one of those different things when you both have joked and talked about when we were
Mhm.
called to ministry. It was like, are you sure?
Are you sure, God? I mean, I got the cursing thing. Hold on, God,
Oh,
because I kept saying it. I said, "Oh Lord, I can make up some words. I'm a
huh?
scholar, a
Huh?
scholar." I said, "You got to be kidding! Carry the word. What?"
Huh?
I couldn't believe it. I
I
just
can't.
couldn't. I just
Yeah,
couldn't believe it.
because I'm so comfortable with sitting in row 6, row 9,
Hello.
my business.
Yes, ma'am.
Very comfortable, but
That's
it's
the
like
behind the scene expert. Love it. Mhm.
true. So yeah, reckless, reckless. So it is one of those different things that it's just like when we did talk about ministry, we were just like who, but at the same time, we both tend to still answer the call.
Exactly. And we knew. We
Mhm.
actually knew.
Yeah, we knew at very when we both talked about it, we knew at very young ages.
Yes, 15, 16, 17, round in there. Yeah, we knew. We
It's like
knew.
we knew, and it was just like it was definitely one of those different things that we both. I would say still to this day, from when I talked to you about it, even when we were coming on the podcast, was very much talking about doing things fearful. Like we both were
Yes.
talking about. Oh,
Yes.
off camera, how afraid we were today in a drama we went through
Mm-hmm.
just to do
Mm-hmm.
this, but we like for the ministry, for what we want God to do for the people that may be watching or
Yes.
the women that may be watching. It's one of those different things that it's like Kim is saying, we decided to stop running
She
from the
telling the
call
truth. She telling the truth. That's right,
and
Kim.
yeah, and just say like, okay, we're gonna do it scared. We're gonna do it feeling ill-equipped, but we're gonna continue to do it. But every single time, God shows
Mm-hmm.
up every
Yes,
single
he
time.
does.
So yeah,
Yes, he does.
absolutely. Okay, so mom, I'm gonna move to motherhood. That's what the podcast is about. If you
Right.
need to stop at any time, I got your back.
Okay.
Um, so we're going to talk about all things motherhood, and the reason why I wanted to have it because I knew Mother's Day was coming up, and Mother's Day
Mm-hmm.
is always generally a good holiday for most. Like I would say, for us, I'm fortunate to still have you, even though we definitely had a huge scare in 2015. Me and my brother is still blessed to have you. And we also can say that we're still very blessed to, have Granny as well, still
Yes.
having your mom. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
Mother's Day is a very grueling day for most
Mm-hmm.
people. it is. It's hard, especially when you've
Yes.
had a good relationship with your mom and you
Mm,
miss her and you grieve. And it seemed like everything around May reminds you of your mom, the way the
that's true.
house, the way you cooked food, a show, just accidentally hearing someone that laughed like her. It can be very
Hmm.
traumatic and heartbreaking for those. So anyone that is watching, we definitely want to make this a safe space for you,
Yes.
because we do understand that grieving process, of still being able to have, our moms, here. And then for other people who definitely, like Kim is saying, it is very triggering for other people
Hmm.
who mother has passed and had a good mother, but we do know that there is people that did not have the best relationship with their moms. And it's just very triggering when you hear other people talk about Mother's Day. And even with Father's Day, I know we've kind of talked about that as well. Like sometimes that can be very triggering for folks
Hmm.
during this
Hmm.
time. So I want to just kind of talk about all things motherhood. And so there's a lot of questions that I have for you. And so I wanted to kind of start with you being a career woman, with
Hmm.
having your career. And, I'm a career girl, I believe in working.
Hmm.
Was one time I
Definitely.
was, yeah, I was one time I was married and I didn't have a job for 3 months. Worst 3 months of my life.
Exactly.
Baby, this ain't it. I had to iron that man's shirt and I said, oh God, I've got to go to somebody. Somebody's got to be hiring. If I got to walk these streets, I'm gonna work somewhere. It just isn't in me. It just isn't in me. So, but a lot of times when women have careers and they go for their careers, sometimes they can always feel like compared to what is considered the perfect mom. The mother who's at home and she's baking cookies, Rice Krispie treats, different things of that nature. But I want you to be able to, and sometimes you end up getting that mommy guilt where you can't be there for
Hmm.
every single thing. For
Hmm.
those mothers that may be feeling that guilt of saying, I want to do something for myself. I want to have a career. I have purpose. My purpose is not being a single, being a stay at home mom. Some women it is. Don't think we're coming
That's,
after you. We're not.
that's
But for
true.
ones that it's not, what
Mm.
advice could you give them to get over that mommy guilt and say it's okay to still go for what you want in your career?
To me, each person should go to God first, okay?
Mhm.
Because every person has an assignment and a call on their life. So, whatever that assignment and call is, make sure that you rehearse it back and forth between you and God, okay? As just like you said, we know some perfect moms. We know some Stepford wives. We know some women that, I mean, that are baking the cookies and an old commercial because I'm 65, we 66 in August. I'm just being honest. Where you bringing home the bacon, frying it up in the pan, never letting the man know that he's a man, all of that stuff. Okay, that's really good for some women. Okay, but then there are others like me, others like you. And Tanisha, I consider you a perfect mom.
Oh, thank you,
Okay,
Mama. All
cause,
right,
cause
here we go.
because you sit down and you involve my grandson in everything. Okay, I didn't get to play basketball with you. Why? I chose a career. I didn't
Mhm.
get to see all of your teeth when they came in, came out, all of that. What I did get to experience is that you thought at one time that somebody that was in my life that I was married to was the father figure. You didn't start walking, you ran to him
Mhm.
to let your cousin, your first cousin, who you tight with like a sister. Oh,
Love her.
wait a minute, boo. This my dad. And you
Mhm.
let him know that. Okay, with my son Michael, on the other hand, it was a tragedy within that because he was taken at the tender age of 3. Okay, my son and I have a different relationship, but it's a loving, caring relationship. My son's heart is very timid when I'm timid, okay, like I am soft in some areas. And my daughter Tanisha is hardcore like I am, okay, a chip off the show nub block. Okay, so I'm just saying, sometimes you're gonna always be guilty of something and feel like I should have been there for this. I don't ever remember going to Michael's games and different things like that. So yeah, I feel guilty about that. But even as an adult, I apologize to the both of you all for me choosing a career so that I can have income to come into the house so that you all could be taken care of. So yeah. And the perfect mom, I praise them. I thank God for them that their whole livelihood is staying at home and baking cookies and combing hair and whatever else it is that they do. It just wasn't me. I'm
Hmm.
just being honest. It just wasn't me.
Right. Like my brother said, we tight now, so it is one of those different things. I think, and I should have had my brother on here too. Michael,
Yes.
I'm sorry, next time. And maybe I'll do something with my brother,
Yes.
figure out. Life do
Yes.
be life, and like they said that there are no perfect moms, and so it is one of
No.
those different things that,
No.
when it comes to our different relationship, it was definitely different. And I'll probably talk about it a little bit later, but it is one of those different things that, Michael is the softer one. I always say that you guys remind me of
Mhm.
Joe. Oh my God. I'll be thinking sometimes when my brother is talking, I'll be like, oh my God, he reminds me of mom. And I just kind of like crack up.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, Michael does tend to have a softer heart,
He
for
does have a soft heart.
he definitely has a softer heart. And, then there's me. Praise the Lord.
But it's
I,
nothing wrong with it, with
I'm the
either
one that
side
I'm
of
the
it.
one that needs to be in church.
Lord, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for you. Because I got the gangster daughter. Okay, but anyhow, let's just be real. Okay, time and life experiences got you where you are. Okay, it's not that you're not loving, it's not that you're not caring, but I mean, hey, it only
Hey.
takes one.
It only takes one, and it only takes one good time for me too. Praise
Hmm.
God. But yeah, my brother,
Hello.
the Lord, I love it one. But I do wanted to. I appreciate you expressing like, "Hey, I am not the perfect mom," and then I appreciate all the comments saying there is no perfect mom. It's like I did what I thought was right at the moment, and
Exactly.
the one thing I do appreciate is that I think a lot of moms don't do, or adults will say adults do, not so much just moms because dads can do it too. One thing I will say that I appreciate, and my brother can speak for himself, is that when you felt like you were wrong, there was this apology, and I was like, Mom, like sometimes I was like, Mom, you don't gotta do that. We're good, like we're good. And I know we had a different moment at Woman Evolve where I was like, Mom, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
it was different things that it was like, I think it's different. And sometimes I think as parents, sometimes it is okay to apologize to your kids about
Yes,
the
it
where
is.
you felt like you got it wrong. And it doesn't matter what age that is, because when my mom was apologizing, I was fully grown with a child. Fully grown
Mm-hmm.
with a child. We had this moment in Woman Evolve. I was 40. Was I 40? I was
Yes.
40.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
40. And it was like one of those different things we were like talking about it. Oh, I love it. Thank you. And brother,
Mm-hmm.
we're saying soft, and it does not mean sweet because my brother Will, he got them hands. But
Hello. You better say so. Quick with them.
my brother got them hands. But he does just have a tender, loving heart. That's just
Yes,
what it
he
is.
does.
He loves his
Yes, he
family
does.
down. Like that's just what
Yes.
it is. And so
Yes.
I appreciate that, Mom. I would have to say how much I appreciate you when you felt like you weren't right, or you were like, hey, I'm sorry about this. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. But even when I would think about it, I was like, she never had to do that. And some parents never do that. They never apologize for what happened. You're just supposed to get over it, and that's just it. But I will have to say, and I know I'll speak for my brother as well. We definitely do appreciate, we know what you had to do. We know why you did it. We understand why you did it, but still apologizing, I guess, for the little kid in us,
Mm-hmm.
very important. 'Cause
Mm-hmm.
without saying it, somebody should apologize to the little girl in you.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so I'm like, for
Mm-hmm.
that, I know the reason why you did it, because someone should have definitely apologized to the little girl that was in you. So thank you for
Mm-hmm.
apologizing to the little girl that was in me, and as well as the boy that was in my brother.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we gonna make
Yeah.
it, child. We
I'm
gonna make
serious. Make it lighter. Make it lighter.
it. Okay, so as a mom, would you ever say that you stopped worrying? Because baby, I
Let's just give you the Christian version of that. No, ma'am. We're never going to be not concerned about our babies. You could be 92. You're still our babies. So, no,
yeah.
ma'am. There is no way you can get past worrying at all, ever. I know the Christian thing to say is do not worry. Okay, honest to God, you got children, they are part of you, and you're very concerned about whatever it is that they're around, what they're doing, what they're exposed to. So, no, you never stop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, at this point, I just feel
Mhm.
like I just feel like at some point it went from I know this is gonna sound bad. It went from SIDS to like school bullying. I'm like, it just feels like no matter what, I'm just gonna continue to worry about something else.
And you
And I
are.
don't know, I know a lot of mothers that's in here, and it's yeah, it's like even as adult children, she like Kim is saying, it's like it just
That's
feels
it.
like I'm never gonna stop worrying. It's like I just have to shift to what I'm praying about now to praying about something else. Cause at some point Chris is gonna get a car, and then I'm gonna be worried about him driving in a car, you know.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so we just
So
never
it's no way to get around it. It's just no way to get around it. Because as Michael said earlier, life be life, and honey, and you
might
can't
be
be
like,
everywhere at the same time. So yes, anything could happen, and you start praying when you know they're going out. You don't call them on the phone and wear the heck out of them. Because I try not to be so overly involved in my adult children's lives, but I can tell you, a praying mother,
yeah.
definitely you'll develop being a praying mother, and you never stop being concerned about them ever.
Yeah. Yeah. I know Cam is talking about in the storms today, ringing off the hook, and there'll always be their babies. So yeah, I love this. I
Mhm,
love that everybody's
mhm,
confirming the same thing.
mhm,
That you do have to make sure that you know you are praying constantly, different things of that
mhm.
nature for your kids. Well, Michael said we don't mind.
I know that's right. That's
Here or
right.
there.
That's right.
I love my brother. It's much of a here or
I
there.
do too. That's
But
right. That's
it's
right.
one of the different things that yeah, it is definitely yeah, it is. It is definitely something to try to take things in from your adult children, because sometimes the relationship does shift from being, the guiding mother to almost like this confidant. And sometimes some of the things you say to your parent, like some things that Chris says to me, I'm like, okay, I can't tell anybody, but man, that really bothered me when he said that. I
Hmm.
can't protect him from that. And I know there's some definitely shown up things I done told you where
Yes,
heard me
Lord.
like fall on the floor, because most people don't really see me cry unless they see me in church. But you
Right.
hear a lot of the mom, I can't believe this happened to me. Like what was
Hmm.
going on? Like you and Granny hear a lot of it. And I sometimes think back on it, now that I'm a parent, I'm like, man, what was it
Hmm.
like for them, just being like everything's gonna be okay, and then just still being like, there's nothing I can do to really solve the issue.
That's it. Some things you all just have to go through. It hurt us watching it, seeing it, hearing about it. But some things you all have to go through. It's like when you see a person that's an addict, some of them have to hit rock bottom in order for them to want to come up. And that's how it is with children. You can't stop them from getting in that car. You can't stop them from the friends that they're around. And you definitely can't stop anybody that wants to bully your child or talk down to your child or make them feel like they less than them, because we are different.
Mhm.
We're just different. And sometimes the outcome of it is better than because Nisha, you can handle some stuff. You really do. I'm in a state of shock when you tell me some things. I'm like, okay, just don't have the buck eyes, because we got big eyes and we're not fat. Just don't give it a deer in the headlight and just listen. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it definitely does. And your pastor is saying, Ronette and the rest of it is how hard it is to be a parent. It is tough, to see your kids, cry from hurts and different pains.
Yes.
It is big, having a prayer life and even instilling a prayer life in your kids. That is
Mhm.
also a lot of it, that sent me through watching, like hearing you and Granny, talk about prayer, talk about church, different things of that nature definitely has made it with me being, a mom, being like, how do I instill this in my kid? I've never
Mhm.
was told to remember scripture, different things like that, or watch this sermon. Like I felt like I was a free church kid. I know there's some church kids, church. I didn't grow up that way. And thank you. Let me say that. I believe my brother probably had it a little bit stricter than I did from hearing,
Yes.
his upbringing with, his father and bonus mom. So
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of, a little bit different for him, when it comes to church. But it was still one of those different things that, regardless to what me and my brother's upbringing was, me and my brother still talk about God to this day. So it's like it's one
Exactly.
of the different things that I wasn't forced to know about God, but just the example of the way my parent lived their lives or my grandparents lived their lives, it was still like, this is what I should be doing. And
Ex-
so I know me and my brother definitely incorporate, Christianity into our households now that we're both parents. So
mm,
it's one of those different things that was like, parents, you may not think your kids are watching what you're doing, but we're watching. Even at a
ex-
distance, I still knew what my mother was doing. Like I knew my mother was in the Navy. Remember, I almost went into the Navy. Mama, that's a whole other
mhm.
story. But it was
Yep.
one of those different things that it was like I knew, my mother was going to church. I knew my mother was praying and
Mm.
teaching. I knew my grandmother was always taking me to church and, watching Carlton Pierce.
Stop. I'm gonna pray for you. I
The reason
love Carter Pearson. You can just go ahead on. I'm gonna pray for you, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna tell it myself. There are several videos and CDs that are probably might be still hidden. That's my grandma's because she wore it out, and so I got tired of it. And I hid it, and I would help her look for it. Praise the Lord.
I'm gonna pray for you now.
Praise the Lord. Hopefully she doesn't see it, but for those
I'm
Kim that see
telling.
it,
I'm telling.
praise the Lord. So, one thing I wanted to get back on topic because I see you as my mom and we'll just be rambling and I forget that we're online. Um, since we were talking about Christianity, and I know we're both in the Word, and I know, church is our lives. We can't get around it. If
Yes.
you talk to us for more than an hour, Jesus is gonna show up in our conversations, just who we are.
Exactly.
And so, when it comes to the thought of motherhood and mothers, who in the Bible, which mother in the Bible would you say inspires you the most?
Mary, the mother of Jesus, and I'm gonna tell you why. At a tender age, she was told something that blew her mind. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and it was so illegal for her to even come up with a pregnancy that she had to be hid. Okay, then not only that, after the birth of him and knowing he was going to be the Messiah, the weight of that, knowing that your child is going to be beat unrecognizable. But before that, even at the circumcision, Simon told her, he said, yes, this is the Messiah. Now I can die. He said, but it's going to feel like a sword coming out of your heart. Okay, I'm here to have my son Christian, and you get ready to tell me that sometime down the line, I'm going to feel like it's a sword being removed from my heart. And so to me, she had to be a super mom. Because
Mm-hmm.
even when he died, even when he went to the tomb, okay, the disciples went back fishing. Mary
Mm-hmm.
was holding on to the promise he'll be back in 3 days.
Uh,
So
wow.
that's why Mary inspires me. Because when it looks like it's dead, it's a Lazarus situation getting ready to come up somewhere. I know about it. Renee being almost dead. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's Mary. It's Mary, the mother of Jesus, for
Yeah,
me.
that's good. I love that, Mama. I was like, wait a minute, you about to preach? I heard you going up. I was getting ready to play my
No,
organ. But
no,
yeah,
don't do it.
what this is the mother. This now I couldn't imagine being married. I couldn't imagine being married and seeing, my child because everyone else is the Messiah.
Yes,
Everyone else is the Messiah, but that's
exactly.
my baby.
Exactly.
That's different,
That's
to
it.
me because if he's unrecognizable, he's still recognizable to me.
To her. That's exactly right.
It's still my baby on there. And
Hmm.
to sit there and, just having to endure this and realizing, because I'm pretty sure it was brought back into her memory of,
Hmm.
you know, this is the part where the sword feel like is coming to me. Like I'm
Yes.
pretty sure that
Yes.
those were the memories that were coming back to her mind. Even though you hear it, it still don't feel good at the
No.
moment. And the
Mm-mm.
strength to just be there, and then to the thing about Jesus still looking down and being able to say, John, take care of my mother.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's just a
Exactly.
lot. And then it's like you're sitting here like he really is going to leave. This is my child. He really is going
Exactly. He's leaving me. It was like how mom felt when I had that massive stroke.
to.
Okay. She couldn't believe it. No, not my child getting ready to leave me. And I mean, that's out of order for the child to die before the parent. So, yeah, it was definitely painful. It had to be painful for Mary.
Had to be. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, she's, I don't know. She's definitely one to be inspired by, that a mother who went through everything from the
Yes.
time he was in her womb until the end.
Hmm. That's it.
It just felt like it was always something. You know,
It
every
was. Okay, just think about it. I left him 3 days in the temple.
now time out.
Okay. Okay. And then to come back and say, woman, didn't you know? Wait, sir. Okay. Let's talk about them lips and teeth about to get tatted up a little bit. Okay.
But
Woman, did you
Mama,
know that I had to be about my father? Baby, your father is about to see you in a few minutes.
okay. But Mama, it ain't her fault at all. This is from the key. For 3 days you
No.
was traveling. You didn't look back one time and was like, "Where is Jesus?"
I'm sure, okay, because I laugh at that all the time. I'm sure she had thought maybe he was with his other relatives because he had brothers and sisters. I'm sure he was thinking he was amongst one of the tribes. Okay, but honestly, DCSF, hello, what happened? 3 days, boo.
Three
Where is
days.
Jesus? Not where is Waldo, where is Jesus? So, yeah.
Right. Because
You sure got that right.
where was it? Because that was my thing. I was like, nah, wait a minute, you did 3 days and you don't know where your baby at? And I'm assuming, so many people were traveling that you would assume that he's somewhere. But I
Hmm.
mean, when I rest my head, where is my child?
Exactly. Exactly. That's the average mom. But I'm sure that it was customary for them to be with others, in the caravan. So
Yeah.
they probably think, okay, he's probably with John or he with Smith or Paul or okay, whatever the case may be, just like you said,
Yeah.
where is my baby? We haven't ate together, we haven't drank together. Where is he?
Yeah. I would need to know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I went right there 5 minutes and I'm stressed.
Exactly. Out of here, boo.
I'm stressed. Like I
Yes,
can't
ma'am.
even, but see, at the same time, these are different times.
Hmm.
We got different enemies and things you got to worry
Yes,
about too,
Lord.
baby. Because I can
Yes,
barely let
Lord.
my baby go outside and play for too long without being
Exactly.
on his heels. So yeah, it's definitely it is the culture, the time. But I was
Yeah.
still 3 days though,
That's what I said. I said that's a long time now.
long time. And he did have a smart mouth though,
Oh, that was just too much. It would have been the backhand. I'm just telling you how I know it.
right?
Okay? Woman, didn't you know? Wait,
First of all,
wait.
because when he said woman,
There
that
we
made me.
go. Who? That's it. Baby. What we talking about?
Who we talking to?
That's it. Who you talking to?
Okay, that's why we can't be married and we couldn't have Jesus. That's why we weren't chosen, mom. Because we couldn't have
Exactly. Because Jesus would have been in traction. God knew. He said, nope, not her. Not her.
Thank you, Lord. So, mom, I want to kind of get your advice about something that's on the negative side. Because I
Okay.
talked about in the beginning where, Mother's Day is, I'm laughing at Kim, a Mother's Day can be very triggering for some people because they did not have the best relationship with their mother. Whether their mother
Exactly.
is going on to meet them or their mother is 20 minutes down the road. Who knows? Uh,
Hmm.
everybody's really talking about this.
I know.
my, my brother is triggered. Okay.
He
but
know. He know. He
he,
know.
but what advice would you give someone who doesn't have the best relationship with their mom? What advice would you give them?
Truly never give up on having some form of relationship with your mother or your father. I just really believe that, whether it's friendship, whether it's you all go out and it's certain things that you all are used to doing together, but never give up on it at all. And especially with your mom, because you got to think about those 9 months that she struggled with you, those
Mhm,
9 months that she passed through life and death about 6 or 7 times before she had you. So,
mhm,
I mean, you know the story. It could be a crackhead's daughter.
mhm,
Okay. They still try to be close to their moms. So I'm saying, whatever the situation, it's never a positive for you not to have relationship with your mother and your father. And believe me, just because a person got you here through a birth canal, and we all know how reproduction on the man side works. Okay.
mhm,
Just because they supplied that does not make them a parent. It just
mhm.
does,
Yeah.
and it's no instruction books on it. So we just have to go along with how God is allowing us to raise children.
Okay. I mean, that's good advice. Do you think people can establish a good relationship with their parent later on in life? Because I know you say don't give up on it, but it's like, okay, childhood wasn't good. Okay, now I'm fully grown. What do you think about establishing a relationship with the parent or the parent with the kid later on in life?
I think that is great. I'm living it with you and Michael. Okay. I know for a fact that it's a lot that we don't know, but I do know that if it's nothing else between us, you all love me and I love you all. You know what
Mhm,
I'm saying? And so I think later on in years, from the things that I have learned from you, okay, I just know for a fact that it's never a time to give up.
mhm,
It's to take the advice that, hey, mom, you missed this.
mhm,
Okay, and not take it to heart as if the child is trying to hurt you or feel bad. Like, I mean, Michael could tell me quite a few things that I missed.
mhm,
Okay, but I thank God that, just like you said, he had a bonus mama, Joyce, and she did the best that she could. And I mean, she was an excellent bonus mom.
mhm.
So, yeah, I think it's never time to give up. And I also think that, yes, in an older age, because you've all went through some experiences, we can learn from each other. Mhm.
Right. And just to kind of talk about it, thank you, Mom. To talk about it from the kid point of view, it's, Kim kind of said it here, is like forgiveness is a key piece, for some of those relationships later on in life. And
Mhm.
sometimes you have to realize, like, okay, whatever that person, had in their past, whether the child or the parent, whatever's going on with that, try to leave it in the past and just say, okay, let's talk about today. Let's talk
Mhm.
about now. And so
Mhm.
I think me and my brother, without me and my, that's my kid, send me a message now, ask me to do
Mhm.
something. But anyway, the thought of it is like, the thought of it is that, like, when it comes to relationships and you're trying to build something later in life, one of the
Mhm.
things is like you just position it as, how do we go about this today?
That's
Ask
right.
my mother, how do we just deal with this today? Okay, yeah, we can talk about the past. You can talk about how you felt, how I felt. Okay, we can get past that. But in the same thing, it's like you just have to talk about how we're going to navigate through
Mhm.
today. And I know even with my brother, me and him, when we reconnected, I think I was 25. So my brother had to be around 22, 23.
Mhm.
Like, without even saying it, me and my brother just picked up from that moment. It wasn't
Mhm.
the whole thing of, why weren't you there? I mean, first of all, we're kids. So it's just like, I'm just here to try to have a relationship with you. And
Mhm.
so it's like the same thing my brother is even saying now, with his oldest daughter, he's not giving up, on, trying to establish this relationship with his his oldest daughter, and it's like me and you know what's going on with that
Right.
particular situation, which my brother is kind of, got his hands tied in most of those situations. But I think in the same breath, it's kind of like he can also use the example between you and him. It was like, no,
Mhm.
I'm going to keep trying, because if it worked for me, it can work for me and Vea. And so it's like, brother, we definitely love you and we understand what's going on. It's like through the bad
Yes.
times and the good times, it's like, let me just figure it out, regardless to what it
Mhm.
said. Let's just figure it out. But I agree that there's no need to look back on what happened. I mean, the apologies can be there, but you, the parent and the child, both have to make a decision that today, we're going to start with today.
Exactly.
Whatever that relationship looks like, we have to just start for today. And so I truly believe that there is always time and room, long as that person has
Mhm.
breath in their body,
That's it. I
to get
agree.
it right and to never stop, just keeping the door open on that relationship. Because my thing is, if I would have dread not attempting to have a relationship with you or my brother,
Mhm.
and then not
Mhm.
have the opportunity, because what if I wouldn't have had the opportunity and 2015 would have went the opposite direction?
Yes. Yes. Mhm.
Then what? Okay, yeah, you're harboring all this stuff that may have happened in childhood, but now you don't even have anything.
Exactly. It's over. Mhm.
Yeah. Unless that parent or that child is completely toxic. Now, don't get us wrong. We ain't telling you to
Exactly.
move crazy Ray Ray in your house or the
Mhm.
abusive.
Please
And when
don't.
I say abuse, I mean like physically, mentally, all of those are considered to be like, if it's that, ask the Lord for
Let
guidance.
go.
I'm not
That's
going to
it.
tell you put yourself in harm's way. But if nothing of that is happening and
Mhm.
you're just upset because they didn't come to a birthday party or two,
Right. Get over it.
come on now.
Pray about it and let the Lord use you. That's it.
And you can figure out, and then it may not be traditional, the relationship, but at least there is some form of relationship.
Exactly. Because we truly, you and I, or either Michael and myself, we don't have a traditional relationship. We don't have the ball games and the track field meetings. I was not a PTA mom, none of that.
I ain't
But
either. So
that's it. No one could say, "Well, Nisha, you kind of close now. You
okay, but
running and playing basketball, working out at the gym." I didn't do any of that. Okay, I'm not proud that I didn't do any of that, but I thank God that my adult children, they received me, they accepted my apology. Both of you all both told me, "You don't have to do that. What you doing, Mom?" Okay,
mm-hmm,
but I felt like I needed to do it because just like you said, when I was traumatized, I needed somebody.
mm-hmm,
And I mean, that little kid is still there at
mm-hmm,
65. It's a little girl in there that wants to cry out, "What happened to my this?" You know,
mm-hmm,
and God knows.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely. And like Michael is saying here, you like, it's nothing you can really do about the past. It's really just the present. That's all we can do.
Exactly.
We
That's
just
right.
kind of learning each other as we go along, and so it's
Hmm.
it's different things that you just kind of pick up, which is funny. It's like we didn't grow up together, like we were never really in the same
Right.
household, but there's certain
Right.
things my brother says and do, and I'd be like, "Ooh, that's me." I was like,
Exactly.
crack up. I'd be like, maybe that DNA genes, it just is what it is. You don't
Hmm.
have to be
Yes,
with them
ma'am.
to still hold that commonality with him. Or I look at his kids, or I look at Mike, and I'd be like, "Ooh, okay,
Ooh,
we in there."
totally us. That's it. Totally us.
The way Michaela is, like, she is
Yes.
a strong-willed
Yes,
girl.
ma'am.
When I saw my brother and I hear in the background, or I see her on social media, I'm like,
Hmm.
oh shoot, that's me. Hey girl, hey
Exactly.
niece.
Exactly. That's it.
That whole not taking no for an answer. I was like, oh
Woo.
hey niece.
Mm. Help us,
Hey
Lord.
niece. Sorry, brother, because I didn't have a
Exactly.
daughter. Sorry.
Exactly.
And she listen, sorry,
And she's
because I
standing
can't
on business too,
and I
Mike.
can't hear grown. Sorry,
That's
brother.
it. That's it.
So it's one of those different things. It's like you definitely learn. Uh, and he said, Mike is the sweetest little guy, like my brother. He lives right.
Hmm. Like him.
He lives
Spitting in
just
it.
Looks just like you.
Spitting image. That's it.
So one thing I want to say is we kind of talked about it a little bit, and you can learn so much from your mother. And I know you had typically a traditional relationship with Granny. Your
Yes.
mom. What is one thing or one some things that you can say that you learned from your mom or Granny?
Truly, it was to stay in the word and to pray.
Hmm.
And she's never been a person that's got to be all up in your business. Okay, it's a lot of things that she'll suggest, but she's quick to back up to let you make your own decision.
Hmm.
But her prayer life sparked my prayer life. Her
Hmm.
reading the word, studying the word, being in the word, and if you got upset, you had to read the word. So yeah, I mean, that's what I learned from her, how to
Hmm.
live a Christian life and to be wholesome about it. And she didn't put us on true restriction.
Hmm.
But when I went to church, Nisha, you'd have fell out. We was there every day, 3 services on Sunday, ate food, lunch, whatever, and then had another youth service after that. So yeah, it was an all day event on Sundays.
Hmm. Well, Granny, if you ever watch this, baby, I'm glad you took me home, huh? Sunday morning, we out. No Sunday school. Praise God. See, I had the granny. I didn't have the mama who was
The
young.
mama.
5.
Exactly.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I had, baby, I'm tired. We gonna make it Sunday morning. No, I didn't have no Now, the one service under our my first pastor, Samuel Lane, that service did last.
Bishop. Bishop. Yes, ma'am.
Bishop, it lasts a long time. I remember sometime 2, 3 o'clock, but
Yes, ma'am.
in general, we was up out of there. And so I praise God for that. And I praise God for my pastor right now who understands that it don't take all day.
Right.
Uh, It don't take all day. We gets up out of there. Praise God. We gets up out of there. So yeah, I definitely would have to say that, from Granny, I definitely learned about, church, the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
praying,
Mm-hmm.
dealing with your emotions, through prayer,
Mm-hmm.
I watched my grandmother be angry and sin not. Now
Yes.
I can't say I took all of that, but
All right.
I
Hello.
always, I always
I
say
had
you.
it in my backpack.
I always, you've heard me say a lot of times you and Granny have a better way of just forgiving people that I haven't arrived yet.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
know,
hear you
you
say it all the time. Yep.
you guys will continue to forgive and forget, and I will forgive and I remember all of it.
I'm gonna pray for you, honey. I'm gonna
Okay.
pray for you. Cause you have to let it go at some point. You really do.
Yeah. So yeah, I love it. Yeah. Yeah, it's like we're angry within that, and so I've seen both of you all do that, and so I know the time is going. Like we've actually been talking for almost an hour, Mom. We did good. We did
Yes.
good. So I want to kind of start talking about the future, but first I do want to thank you so much for your transparency. I know this was definitely rough for you at times to speak about your truth about our relationship with me, you, and my brother. And so it's one of those different things that I wanted to bring you on to talk about motherhood, because I think it is still an inspiration to know that even though motherhood may not be what you originally thought it was, because I know at first you didn't really know if you could have children. So to have
Right.
children and then the motherhood looks completely different than what the expectation is, sometimes
Exactly.
that's hard to express and speak about. But I wanted to kind of share life to someone that still may be thinking about, maybe I should call my mom, maybe I should call my dad, or maybe I should reach out to my children. Hopefully this
Mhm.
gives them some light to say,
I truly hope so.
it happened to them, for, a mother, a daughter, and a son who were separated for different issues because of a career or just anything that might be going on in their life, that you still can have a relationship with them regardless of age. Like I said, I'm 42. I ain't gonna tell my brother age, but he up there. He up there. But he up there. But it's one
No,
of those
you
different
didn't go there. No, you
he's
didn't.
my little brother, so he's younger than me, but at least we can say that
Mhm.
there's still, where you continue to try. Like, don't give up,
Exactly.
continue to try. And
Never.
that relationship just may not look traditional, but it's
Hmm.
still a relationship. And don't allow anyone to make you force it into that mold of being traditional,
Right.
because they may not
Right.
work for the
It
parent
won't. It
or the child.
won't. It won't.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the future, Mom. So you know, I
Hmm.
already told everybody you're 65. And you
Yeah,
look good, Mama. So you already
almost 56.
you're almost 56. What does the future look like for you? What's in the future from my mom?
I think the future is very, very bright. I think now that I'm starting to settle into who I am spiritually, because for a long time I was denying different things. A long time I was keeping my mouth closed about certain things. I think that for years, and I mean well over 20 years, God told me that I would write. And I
Mm-hmm.
kept thinking, what? Okay, so I believe that writing is going to happen. I believe that songs are going to come. I believe that the life that I have with my grandson and all my grandkids, because I got 6 grandbabies. I just believe even the shock of Michaela the first time that I seen her, she was 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think I'll have a better life with my grandchildren, and spiritually I just want to become everything that God has ever told me, even when I was in my secret closet, some things that he exposed to me that I'm not doing yet.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, Mom. You gonna do it, Mom. I'm like this. Let me get myself together. Um, what key message would you say from, whether someone listens to this live? So I hope the people that watch the live, you definitely got something from it. I love seeing all of your comments today. What would you want or hope listeners take away from this conversation?
That it's never too late to develop a relationship from mother to father and from father to son. It's never too late. And accept what the child tells you. Don't beat them down, because they were on the feeling side. They were the one that took the emotional blow. So accept what they say. And if you feel the need and the desire to apologize, apologize.
Mhm.
Because just like Mike said earlier, you can't change the past. We're
Mhm.
living in the present, hoping to go to the future. So, yeah, I hope that everybody understands, do not give up no matter what.
Mhm. Perfect. Yeah, I definitely hope that people do take your words to heart of saying, for someone who lived it, someone who went through
Hmm.
it, even kind of being nervous to come talk to their adult children and explain things.
Correct.
Because I was there, I was there,
Correct.
my brother was there, especially I remember being on the phone with my brother when he found out where you were, and I gave him your phone number, and I remember you guys connected. I think
Hmm.
you guys weren't that
Hmm.
far away, and I remember hanging up the phone with
Exactly.
my brother and him being like, I'm gonna go see her. And so I was just
Hmm.
like, okay, I don't really know what happened, it per se. And I remember, I remember you and my brother both telling me about you guys just looking at each other and was just like,
Hmm.
and it just kind of started the, relationship from there, being like, okay, we're connected, we're back, how do we move on from them? Because we were like early 20s. And I remember my brother
Yeah.
picking me up from the airport, which was
Yes.
such a weird thought process. Is like my brother was like, where are you? And I remember him
Exactly.
saying, what do you look like? And mind you, I
Hmm.
was 25 at the time. And so I
Exactly.
means my brother had
Exactly.
to be like 21, 22. And so I remember it coming out, and I said, just look for somebody that look like your mama. And then I
Exactly.
came out, yeah, yeah, it was like, yeah, you guys were only like 20 minutes from each other for like years.
Hmm.
And so I remember
Years.
my
Hmm.
brother, looking at my brother for whatever reason, I just remembered a few times that I remember seeing him as a baby and seeing him like my junior year of high school. To see him again be a grown man was really weird, because the last time I saw him,
Hmm.
he was shorter than me, I believe, or not. He wasn't, I have to remember that I think he was shorter than me still at that
Hmm.
time. He
Hmm.
might, or he wasn't as tall as he was when I saw him. Let's say that he wasn't as tall
Yeah.
as I was. To see him from, a middle schooler to a grown man,
Hmm.
that was
Hmm.
wild. And I was just like, and all I could tell him, like, what do you look like? Look for somebody who look like your mama. I know you know what your mama look like, and I look like her. So, to be able, I would have to say, to make sure I'm not too long winded, I am just so grateful though. Um, I am still grateful. I'm trying to talk from my head. I am very grateful to still be able to have some type of relationship because it
Mm-hmm.
was very, it's one of those things that you long for as a kid. It's like you long for like your mother, you long for the father, or you long for a brother. And that was very hard for the little girl in me to,
Don't do, don't do it. Don't do it.
it was hard. I, one thing I would say is that I was grateful that you put us, because most mothers or children can't say that they didn't have a mother, but they were placed in harm's way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wasn't placed in harm's way. I was placed with family. I was placed with, my your mother, my grandfather at the time, and I had his family. My grandfather's family, who even though they aren't blood, I will never say that they weren't blood.
Exactly.
They
Mm-hmm.
have always to this day loved me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am grateful to say that even though I wasn't with you, you put me and my brother in a place where we can't say that we were harmed. So,
Yes.
we were in families and loving relationships. So even though I may have longed for something different, it was like I was still okay. I
Mm.
still got everything that I needed. It wasn't as if I felt like I was like, I don't have the story to say I was abandoned.
Right.
It was just that it was one of those different things that, oh, my relationship with my mother and brother is just very different, is what I normally tell people. I can't say that I was
Mm-hmm.
abandoned or I didn't have
Right.
you, or I couldn't pick up the phone, and call. So it just, the relationship looked different. I just know the little girl in me sometimes would, growing up be like, sometimes wondering, like, to know you're a big sister and feel
Mm-hmm.
like a big sister. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
always have felt like a big sister, but didn't have the little brother, but just knew he was
Exactly.
somewhere out there. And so I know my brother is watching. So I'm sorry, Mama.
Jesus.
I've never expressed this to my brother.
I know
But
it.
the reason why I was so busy trying to find him when I was 25, because I was so scared. I was so scared that there was something that I missed. I was so scared that maybe he had a child and I wasn't an auntie and I didn't know. Or maybe, like when I went to Virginia. Oh, I'm probably gonna delete this from this crying voice. I'm probably gonna delete this one. But my thing was, I literally had to stop myself when we all went to Virginia and
Mm-hmm.
we went back up with you and Michael. And I was just like, when his daughter, who was very Bea, who we're talking about, at the time they were saying, oh, she normally don't go to people. She normally doesn't just go to someone, but she instantly came to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to hold her and I got to pick her up. And I had my baby, and my brother had my son, who was like, maybe he was 2. He was young. He was very young. And I was sitting there holding this niece. And I have the picture where I'm smiling so big because I'm so happy.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I didn't miss it. I didn't miss it. And it was like this whole time I was wondering if my brother had a child, and I was missing out on all of these things. And I always worried about my brother. Yeah, we gonna make it up, brother. We gonna make it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I felt like I missed my brother. Like I felt like I missed, and I hear him when he talks and different things. And sometimes you do wonder like what would have been different. I feel like him growing up in St. Louis was not would have not been the best thing. So I always say to God be the glory, he wasn't here and he was in Portsmouth and he was in Virginia, so things were definitely, and when I went to see, Kevin's home, I was like, this would have been better for him.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, not saying that, St. Louis and my home wasn't anything bad, but yet still it was Baden, it's the hood. So boys tend to not do very well. And I know the environment he would have been placed in versus what I was placed in, just being considered a boy from Baden or the hood. The
Mm-hmm.
things definitely look different from my brother. So, but yeah, I would definitely tell anybody who watches this that it's okay. It's okay. From the kids' point of view, it is okay. Your kids will do fine and continue to reach out to their relationship because I am very fortunate to have you still here, mom. I'm very fortunate to, be able to say that I can still pick up the phone and call my brother. And it
Mhm.
isn't a weird, awkward thing to say, I'm calling my brother, I'm calling my mom. It isn't awkward. I don't know. It feels like I don't know. It kind of feels like when I talk to my brother, it's like I don't have the past memories, but I don't feel awkward calling my brother. I don't feel
Mhm.
awkward calling you. It's like I'm just talking to my mom. We don't have that past history to go on. It's like we're just going for today. And I'm
Correct.
just learning as I'm going along. And so, I thank you, brother, for not making me feel any kind of way. Okay. He said Portsmouth ain't no better. Okay, sorry, brother. I don't know. I don't know. I just
I
say,
do.
so it was one of those different things that it's just like, I don't know. It was like I appreciate you and my brother not making me feel any kind of way about the relationship. And I appreciate you, mom, just not really having this, choosing to say, regardless, this is what our relationship looks like.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to force anything with any of our children, not even with the grandchildren. It's like I'm not trying to force anything. I just want you to know that I love y'all and I'm trying to have a relationship for today. And
Mhm.
the same thing with my brother. I appreciate you, Mike, for just letting the relationship be what it is. Just letting it be what it be. So I appreciate you. Oh God. I don't know where they went, but okay, here we are. So Mama, I know like you have a lot going on with ministry, and I know you were talking about books. I know you're talking about songs and ministry, but I do know you do have a social media that's out here that's called Simply Valeria. And I know
Mhm.
most people are like, who's Valeria? Well, that's her real name. That's her first name. Renee is her middle name. And I was like, when I hear Valeria, sometimes I always be like, yeah, that is my mama's name. But I'm never, no one really at home in St. Louis calls you that. And so
Mhm.
Simply Valeria is your social media platform, but I do want to take our time for you to talk about it. What is Simply Valeria? Why did you start it? Tell us more.
I started because of the brokenness in me. Okay. But when God gave me the vision, He showed me a vision of a broken golden arrow. Okay. And He let me know that even though, because it's made out of gold, it can be melted down and it still holds its value. So that means that some of the times that all of us are going to go through, I just wanted a page where women could come on and be vulnerable. Yes, simply Valeria. And I got it through Pastor Brett, who just popped up. His wife, Pastor Queen, she said, just say simply Valeria.
Mhm.
And believe me, Pastor Queen and I go back a while. She knows some of my testimony. Her and Pastor Brad have known me over 20 plus years. And truly, that's where Simply Valeria was birthed from. But it came out of my brokenness. Some things that people think that I'm trapped still in my past with different things. But I'm just real relatable with things that go on now that went on then, because there's no new thing under the sun. And the same way that it hurt you and
Mhm.
Michael with the separation and the hurting, that broken arrow that you all are is still valuable. So that's where Simply Valeria actually was birthed from.
Awesome. Thank you, Mama. So I'm gonna leave it up here so people can know where to find it. Is it on it's on Facebook, right?
It's on Facebook. It's
Okay.
Valeria McKeever is my original page. Simply
Mhm.
Valeria is my second page. And then Simply Valeria also is on my Power and Action Church page because we
Mhm.
do the Senior Eagles, and I do little things to try to encourage people about evangelism on that platform.
Okay. Hey sis, look at Janelle.
I'm telling you, go ahead, Janelle.
So definitely make sure to reach out, follow that page because my mom will be kickstarting. She's already started things on there. I know she has done things with the church, but my hope to you, mom, is that you do start to do more on it on a regular basis. If you need my help, just let me know.
I
Uh,
definitely need that.
Okay, so I will definitely talk about it more so because if you want it to look like this, where you have StreamYard, I can show you how to do StreamYard so you can send out the link, different things of that nature.
Mhm.
But I want to make sure that we can help with getting it started because I truly know everyone doesn't know. Thank you, Pastor Brad. Thank you.
That's
Tell
the
Pastor
bread of
I
heaven.
said hello. I've heard so much about you all, and I do watch you as
Yes,
well. So if you don't know Pastor Brad, definitely follow him as well. He always has some really good. Him and
yes,
his wife, with are both pastors, do a really good live. From time to time, I don't know exactly the day. It's Thursdays, right, Mom?
yes. Thursdays for their Bible studies.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because I've watched the Bible says. So, Pastor Brad, you may not know that I done popped in there. I done popped in there and I done seen you, and you do well. You and your wife, I love to see both of them
Hmm.
work together and talk about the Lord is really inspiration to see a
Yes,
married
it
couple, go
is.
so well. And the same with Pastor Chanine and Pastor Tony. I've watched them as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, but I do want everyone to go look at Simply Valeria because, Mama, I know you have so many testimonies, so many things that have happened and things that you have gone through. I
Hmm.
would say watch because it is social media, Mama, but at the same breath, I know the Lord would definitely bless by you being able to be vulnerable and talking about the things that you've been through and still going through, to be really
Hmm.
honest, of
Hmm.
becoming Simply Valeria and who that is. Because
Yes.
I know we've talked so much of how much you've overcome just in these past 3 years of how much
Hmm.
I've witnessed you change. So I'm looking forward to Simply Valeria.
Okay.
So,
Thank you,
all right.
sweetie.
What last words would you like to say? I'm just going to put it up here again because it's not Valerie. It's not E-R. It's not I-E. It's I-A. Yeah, I be spelling it
Right.
wrong. And I'll be like, this, thank you, Pastor Brad, for putting it up here. This is how you spell it. You can go find it on Facebook and follow her page. And I know you would be doing more things. But what last words would you like to say, Mom?
My last words is just like we said, never give up when it comes to trying to get the family back blended together, and always stay from the present because there is absolutely nothing you could do with the past. And each person on here is so needed. Each one, whether you're a sister, a brother, or a mom or a dad, each person is needed. And God joined us together so that we could actually do an assignment here on earth. That's what I wanted to
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mom. Again, I appreciate you. I know I talked to you about this and I knew you were nervous about coming on, but you did fantastic. You did good. You didn't cry. You just let me just go ahead and bawl. I'm gonna try to keep it up. What I will do is I probably won't watch it. If I watch it, it's
say.
coming down.
Don't
Because
bring it down. Don't bring it down because it's the realness of who we actually are. Don't
Mhm.
bring it down.
Yeah. So, well, thanks again, Mom. Thank you for everyone that's watching. Thank you for everyone that will watch the relive, and we will talk again. So, once again, thank you guys for so much for joining When Women Believe, and we'll be talking to you again next month. Take care.
Take care,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.